Okay, so if you'd like to try this project, this DIY, this is how I did it. I started off with wood planks. I only used 3. You could use 2, you could use 4. It's what you decide in your DIY. I also used these wall-mounted wire racks. They're super useful. I used 3 of them. They fit the wood planks perfectly. I used a little bit of this cotton yarn. You may need a removable hook. Mod Podge or apple barrel paints, they're optional but useful. You're definitely going to need a glue gun and some glue sticks. And do not forget to peel that sticker off. I did consider using screws to attach this, but I could not find screws that were short enough for these planks of wood. And the glue, honestly, it is secure enough, it's strong enough. We're only hanging bows, so we don't need anything heavy duty. Yep, so that's everything pretty much that you need. I did find something later on that I added. It's not necessary, but you'll see. I'll let you know when that time comes up. But yeah, let's get started. This is a carafe of coffee and some magenta paint. I was experimenting and so you'll see how this goes. It really doesn't. The magenta, I used just a small amount, and I was basically mixing a stain. At first I thought it'd be cool to see what like some sort of pink coffee wash would do. And really only the coffee comes through. I use such a small amount of the pink. So yeah, I put the mixture on the planks. Again, you're not going to see any of the pink. Make sure you peel that label off. So you'll notice the stain looks just like a little bit of coffee on wood, which it's pretty effective if you have nothing. You'll need 2 coats. So it's a little shiny here. I will go through and dab it a little bit. Doesn't really seem to make a difference. Just makes it dry faster, I suppose. So stain side, regular side, stain, regular. Small difference. It lightens up a little bit when it dries, so we will coat it again, like I said. Okay, so dab it dry. This is what it looks like dry. Matte Mod Podge, that is what I'm choosing to use for this. Apple barrel paint, I want to say that's nutmeg brown. Super cheap. I want to say they're less than $1. I didn't get it from the Dollar Tree, I got it from Walmart. That's the glossy Mod Podge. You could use glossy, you could use matte. I chose the matte. So this is my second coat. I used a little bit of nutmeg brown this time with coffee. So after that, I use a very thin layer of Mod Podge. The reason being is because I plan on painting little patterns onto the wood, and I tend to make a lot of mistakes. So when I make a mistake, I can easily wipe it back off the wood. I suggest you use what you have on hand. I'm sure any kind of paint, honestly, whatever color you choose. I had a paint marker, so I chose a white paint marker, and I used more of the nutmeg brown to keep it kind of minimal. And this is what I came up with, a very cute little boho pattern. You can see against what we started with and the end result of the pattern. So that blank wood compared to these cute stained pieces with these white and brown patterns on them. And so you can see here the wood planks, they just line up perfectly with the hooks. And so yeah, now we get to seal the wood. I use a lot thicker of a layer this time just because we're sealing in the pattern. That was also way too much Mod Podge, so I did have to spread that onto the other planks. Just a heads up, don't use as much as I did. And I did end up coating the sides as well. Here they are drying. Here I'm going to remove the little paper cardboard piece that has the screws on them. You don't need that, so you can save it for a different project possibly. You can kind of eyeball where you're going to glue this down. I wanted to be extra careful, so I did take my son's little Minecraft pencil and mark exactly where I wanted those squares to go, just to make sure it's nice in the center. And I did it a little bit lower on the wood too. I just like the way that it looked. So what you see here is I'm putting a little bit of glue on the spots that I marked, and when I attached the wire rack, it didn't really stick that well, so I held it down and just kind of squeezed a ton of glue in the screw holes, and it did exactly the trick. And then I just did a little bit more glue on some of the slits. Alright, so we're all glued and adhered. Here's the string. This little ring I had extra, and what I'm going to do with that ring is loop the cotton through the ring. So I want to say it was about 8 feet pieces of string. So that's 2 pieces, both 8 feet, and I did them as one piece. And I continue to do 3 more of these loops to total 4. So this ring is not necessary, it's just optional. I happen to have it. I haven't seen these in a while, but if you can get your hands on them, that's great. If not, you can do this project without them. So this is where I'm at, and time to assemble with my helper. What I'm really just doing here is kind of trying to visualize, I guess, where each shelf would be with my cute little distraction there. So I know which one I want on the top, middle, and bottom, and now I'm just kind of getting a gauge of how to space them out. And I'm just using a little bow for reference. It's pretty helpful. And what I decided to do was nothing super complicated. I originally had the idea to learn some sort of macrame, kind of like braid or knot, and I just honestly didn't have the time to do it. I have a baby and a small kid, and so if it's not one or it's the other, so I just honestly did not have the time to invest. And I'm still happy with what I chose to do. So on the top I left the strings be just kind of regular. So you'll see I just left them alone. What I did was map out where I was going to tie the knot. So here I go tying a knot, and I'm just kind of moving it up, figuring out where I want it. And once I know exactly where I need that knot to be, I go and I do the same exact knot on the other side. So I align the knot on the top of the bar, and then I go ahead and wrap the string around. So there's 8 pieces of string on that total, so I do 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and then I do a knot on the bottom, so it just kind of holds that piece there. And I make sure when I wrap the string around, I overlap the wire bar as well. I don't know why. I don't think it really needs that much added protection, but that's what I chose to do. So you can secure it even more with hot glue if you wanted to, but I didn't do that, so it's not necessary. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. No, so here I'm just eyeballing it, making sure it looks pretty even, and it does. So I'm going to go on and make my braid, and I'm going to make the easiest braid that we all know how to do. And since it's 8 pieces, what I do is 3 pieces of string, 2 in the middle, and then 3 on the other side. And since these are really long pieces of string, make sure that you take a couple seconds to kind of pull the ends so they don't get too tangled. At the end of this braid, which I probably make it about, roughly about a foot, I made it a little bit longer than it needed to be so that I can go back and eyeball it again. So here I am eyeballing it. Now I'm going to adjust the knot. I believe I make it a little bit higher up. And I take the open string on the bottom of the knot and I wrap it around the wood plank in wire rack like I did the first row. So I attach them all pretty much the same, and you'll see that in just a moment. Almost done, so just kind of checking to make sure it's pretty symmetrical again. And now we're just going to do our last 2 braids and attach the bottom. Yeah, so far I'm really feeling it. I really like the way that it turned out. Not quite done yet, so after I'm making sure it, I guess, pulls or hangs the way that I want it to, I go through and I trim the ends. I lost my scissors, so I'm using my son's safety scissors, and they did just fine. So here we are. I'm going to wipe the spot that I want to put the hook on. I'm going to use alcohol. So you could use the big ones for 5 pounds, the small 3 are for 2 pounds. I never trust these hooks, so I'm just going to get the strongest one possible, even though this rack is very, very light. There is the hook up. The best part is the final results. So I'm hanging it up. I love the way it looks. Seriously, this is such a great thing to make if you have a little girl or you know someone who's having a little girl. It's a great and affordable gift to make. I have bows everywhere. I can't stop buying them, but they also come with some of the cutest outfits we get, and I just needed a way to be able to pick them out instead of looking for them in a bin or on a hanger or wherever I put them in her nursery. This is just so much easier to see them all. I'm just really happy with this. It's very cute. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's super on theme with how her nursery is, and I take a lot of pride in keeping her clothing and her accessories and all the stuff in her room very organized. So this is just yet another thing that I love, and I really enjoy the fact that I made it myself instead of buying it. Yep, so that's her closet. Again, I really love the way it looks. So yeah, thank you for watching.